How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you saw my last trail video, you saw that we did Sidewinder Trail and we did that hard bonus section, but I didn't show you guys the damage. I bent my tie rod end, and this is the second tie rod end I've ever bent, and it's been about 6 months. So that's 2 tie rod ends in about a 6-month period, and it's a little too often for me to feel comfortable. So we're going to be switching out that whole tie rod and getting a Heim tie rod, and I'm going to discuss the difference between Heim joints and tie rod ends, and I'm also going to show you guys the install for that. A good idea when doing any steering work is to measure the toe before and after. I'm doing a DIY alignment, so I marked the center line in between both tires. I did on the front side and the back side of the tire. Here's a little center line I drew. I don't know if you could see that. And then I'm going to measure both sides with a measuring tape, and then you basically get the difference, and that'll give you your toe, whether you're towed in or out and how much. Steer Smarts actually makes a DIY alignment bracket, which I think is actually a good thing to invest in. Right now I don't have that, but that's something I probably should look into in the future. And then when I'm done with it, make sure I get that same measurement. Now I can start taking this thing apart. I'm going to start by disconnecting the steering stabilizer and the steering stabilizer clamp. And then I'll go ahead and take off those castle nuts, and that's it. A good rule of thumb when hammering your tie rod out is to put a nut on top of it, that way you don't damage the threads. The old tie rod is out, check it out. It is the RPM Steering 1-ton kit. It is a 1.5-inch aluminum tie rod, and this thing has taken a beating. I've been very happy with it. I would recommend it to other people. But it really just depends how hard you wheel. I've been wheeling my Jeep pretty hard lately, and as you can see, the tie rod ends keep getting bent. So for someone that wheels hard, I would recommend the 2.5 kit, or I would recommend the Heim joints, which is what I'm doing now. Other than that, the RPM Steering is a great company, and they always have had very good customer service, and they always answer all my questions when I need help. Check out all those scratches. Lots of memories right there. But now let's go ahead and show you guys the new one. Alright, so here's my new tie rod. It's nice and shiny. I just adjusted the length, and the key to adjusting the length is that you make sure you have the same amount of thread showing on both sides. And the way I did that is with a measuring tape. So according to the instructions, it says to use a 3/4 inch drill bit and drill out this knuckle. Just got the knuckle drilled out. Keep in mind that it is easier if you take the wheels off. This is what they provide you with. They also have some pictures for you to follow. Tie rod diagram. I basically copied that picture. I put the 2 small spacers inside the knuckle, the 2 larger spacers inside the tie rod itself, and then the flat washer that goes on the bottom, that's what you're going to put the nut on, and then you tighten it to 85 pounds of torque. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the other side. So both sides are tightened now, and I just measured the toe and everything looks good, so that means I can go ahead and tighten those lock nuts, or the jam nuts. That both jam nuts are tight, I could go ahead and put my steering stabilizer clamp back on. This thing is pretty beat up. I probably should upgrade, so that'll be in the future soon. So everything is basically done now. All that's left is to go drive it. I just got back from driving, and so far the first impressions is that it has a tighter feel to it. I take turns around the corner and it just feels like heavier and stiffer in a good way. So I'm pretty happy about that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the pros and cons and why I went with Heim joints instead of tie rod ends. So I actually reached out to RPM Steering and they did reply to me right away. I said I keep bending tie rod ends on their 1-ton kit, and they suggested that I could either go with the 2.5 kit or the Heim kit. The 2.5 kit right now is on series back order though, so they did mention that. They suggested that they could do a custom order for the Heim kit, and I was like, hey, let's do it. But there is pros and cons to having Heim joints versus tie rod ends. Let's talk about the cons first. Number one, you got to make sure they are street legal in your area. In California here, they are not street legal, but I'm okay with that. The whole Jeep technically is not really street legal, so I don't mind that, and they don't do an inspection here. They just do a smog check. Number two is you do have to maintain them. You have to check the torque every now and then. According to the instructions, it says every 100 miles, make sure they are torqued properly. Another con is that since they are more mechanical, I would say, they do make more noise, so they are going to be squeakier. So the pros of having Heim joints versus tie rod ends is, since the Heim joints are technically like more mechanical, the steering feels better. It's just a stiffer, tighter feel to it. They are going to be stronger as well, so for rock crawling, it's a good option to go with. And from my understanding, they have like a little bit more like flexibility and more options for a range of motion. So that's what makes the Heim joint better than the tie rod end. I believe that's why you see Heim joints on a lot of race vehicles. But like I said, those race vehicles, they don't drive them every day. So you just got to make sure to maintain them properly. That's going to be it for this video though. If you guys made it this far, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Or you can hit me up on Instagram. It's Laborman Journey, same thing as my YouTube channel. And stay tuned for the next video, and feel free to like and subscribe as well.